Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the biological truths behind a habit that is honestly exhausting so many of us. We're going to completely dismantle the physical and psychological structures of something you probably do every single day without even realizing it.
Right, let's dive straight in and ask ourselves a really confronting question. Why do you say yes before you've even thought about the request? Seriously, think about it. You know that feeling when you're in a meeting or maybe just chatting with a friend and suddenly you find yourself nodding along to something you don't actually agree with? Or you just agreed to take on a massive project you simply don't have time for? Why do we constantly apologize for taking up space in a room we've already earned the right to be in?
So, to figure that out, let's look at Section 1, the people-pleasing trap. To really understand this trap, we have to look at the painful reality of what constantly nodding along actually does to us. The source material describes the sensation absolutely perfectly. It's like being a ghost inhabiting a costume designed specifically for other people's approval. Wow. Think about that draining feeling of walking away from a conversation where you just sacrificed your own voice just to appease someone else. You know, when you qualify your own brilliant idea with phrases like, "Oh, this might be a stupid question," effectively apologizing for taking up space before you've even finished your sentence. You walk away feeling completely drained. Think about what your body is doing in those moments. Shrinking your shoulders, kind of tilting your head, using hesitant language, or offering those preemptive apologies. The source reveals that these physical and verbal behaviors are actually a shortcut. They signal to other people's brains in mere milliseconds, literally instantly, communicating a very specific message. Hey, I don't belong here and I am not a threat. The world is incredibly fast, and every single brain in every room is making a decision about your value long before you even open your mouth. We tell ourselves this myth all the time, right? I'm just being nice. I'm just being flexible. But the reality, it's a physiological state of submission. People-pleasing is not a personality trait. It's not a sign of kindness or some virtue you should be super proud of. It is actually a diagnosis of a biological signal error that is keeping you totally trapped. You aren't just nice. You're caught in a biological trap, and your own body is the one keeping the cage locked. Which brings us to Section 2, a biological signal error. Let's look at the science here. Amy Cuddy spent years at Harvard studying the mechanics of how we're perceived under pressure, and she found that the core metric people evaluate is something called presence. Presence is basically the coherence between what you feel inside and what your body expresses on the outside. Her research highlights that our fast-paced world judges the container, which is your physical body and posture, long before it evaluates the content of your brilliant words. You could literally have the best ideas in the entire room, but if your physical container is broadcasting submission, your message is totally lost. Because there is a literal two-way biological conversation happening inside you right now. We've all been taught that you have to feel confident before you can act confident, right? Well, biology says the exact opposite. Your posture actively shapes your endocrine system. When you adopt a collapsed posture, shoulders in, eyes down, you send a direct message to your nervous system saying, we are not safe. This spikes your cortisol, your stress hormone, which narrows your cognitive resources and forces that survival strategy of people-pleasing. You literally become less able to think clearly. But expanding your body into a high power pose, it does the exact opposite. It raises your testosterone, the dominance hormone. Okay, so how do we fix it? Let's move to Section 3, the power pose protocol. Look, if the problem is mechanical, that means the solution is mechanical too. You have to stop trying to magically feel better and start intervening at the mechanical level. Cuddy's research offers a super specific protocol. Step 1, find 2 minutes alone before a high-stakes moment. Bathroom stall, empty hallway, wherever. Step 2, adopt a high-power pose. Plant your feet wide, hands on your hips, or throw your arms up in a victory V. I know, it feels totally ridiculous. But step 3 is the payoff. You actually alter your biochemistry. By mechanically adopting this powerful stance for just 2 minutes, you actively drop your cortisol. You will walk into that room biochemically transformed. Once we fix the physical side, we need to talk about Section 4, cleaning up your language. Okay, so the physical container is set, but we have to address the verbal syntax that's leaking your value in real time. Look at these phrases. I just wanted to quickly ask, or I'm not sure if this makes sense. We use these all the time, but they aren't polite conversational softeners. They are preemptive apologies for existing. When you use language like this, you're sending out an active signal that you don't actually believe you belong in the conversation. To stop this signal error, you've got to aggressively apply these rules when you're in the room. First, remove those linguistic qualifiers entirely. Just drop them. Second, state your positions as firm statements, not as tentative questions.
Third, maintain a spine that doesn't apologize for being vertical. Sit or stand tall. And finally, keep your gestures moving outward. Keep them expansive rather than folding them defensively into your lap.
Let's pull this all together in section 5, rewiring your nervous system. So, how does this actually build into long-lasting, unshakable confidence? Well, we've all heard the old cliche, right? Fake it till you make it. It implies you're just putting on a mask, performing an act to fool the room until you magically achieve success. But honestly, that framework is totally flawed.
Amy Cuddy's updated mantra corrects this misconception perfectly. She says, fake it till you become it. You aren't performing to fool the room, you're performing to rewire your own nervous system over time. Every single time you act with a confidence you don't yet naturally feel, you're actively laying down another layer of the person you are actually becoming.
Which leads to this profound realization. Confidence is a byproduct of the practice. It does not come before you take action. It comes after. The hardest truth here is that the version of you waiting to magically feel ready is a total fiction. The confidence you need, you've always had it. It's already there. You just have to mechanically practice letting it be seen by the world. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought today. What is the one thing you have been waiting to feel ready for? Because the science clearly shows us that waiting for a feeling is a biological dead end. So stop waiting. Start mechanically claiming your space, adjust your physical and verbal containers, and take that first step of reclamation today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I seriously challenge you to test this protocol out in your very next high-stakes moment.